Bonjour à toutes et à tous et bienvenue dans une nouvelle vidéo sur Learn to French. Je m'appelle Eden et j'enseigne le français. Hello and welcome to another video on Learn to French. If you are new here, my name is Eden and I teach French. So this video is going to be in English because not all of my subscribers speak French fluently. And today's question is, should I learn French with a teacher? So should I learn a language with a teacher? The answer, of course, is going to be yes and no. So let me explain. So before my son was born, I was teaching to students of all ages. My youngest student was 6 years old and it went up to 60 plus. So basically, people that were retired were learning French. Each learner is different. Each and every single one of them will have a different pace. They will learn at a different pace. Some learners will prefer to attend classes in a school, while others prefer one-on-one sessions. If you have a good French teacher, they will help you improve your French skills faster. They will give you the guide. You might also want to figure out how to work with a French teacher. So this video is for those who can't decide and would like to book one-on-one sessions with a French teacher. They will help you organize your learning much faster and in a more efficient way than you would alone. And they can also offer to assess your different skills, and they will closely follow your progression. The downside to this is that you need to, of course, have a budget for this. And if you want to move forward with it, then I am going to give you some tips. So, what can you do to learn with a teacher? There is not one specific way of working with your French teacher. There are several of them. And the first one would be regular meetups. So this is what I mostly did with my students. Most French teachers will offer you to have a weekly session with them. That's how it goes. Like most of them will offer a weekly session. During those sessions, you might follow a specific learning program or simply have a conversation with them. Depending on your goals, what you're looking to achieve, you will usually be given a small task or some homework before the next session. At least that's what I did. This is what I did with most of my students. We had regular weekly sessions in which they ask me questions, we learn new concepts, and they get to practice with me. So there was listening, speaking, reading, and not writing because I didn't want to focus on the writing part during our hour. I mean, we basically had an hour to work, so I was not focusing on the writing part. Regular lessons are very helpful to the students, but also to the teacher. Maintaining a regular schedule actually helped me keep track of their work and how they improved. Most of the time, my students would simply write down their questions during the week, and I would ask them to start the lesson with those questions. And we would work on those questions together. That way, it would be much easier for them to remember the answers. We also talked about how the week went, what their plans were for the weekend or the week ahead, and also what they learned in French or what they did in French during that week. If you are following weekly sessions with your teacher, I highly encourage you to keep track of your learning during the week. That way, you know that you can talk to them about what you did and what you've learned, and you can ask them all the questions that you have in mind. Let's say you're working on some exercise that you found online or in your workbook and you don't understand something, then make sure to write your questions down and talk about this topic to your teacher. If you want to find an online teacher, I would recommend LanguaTalk. So you can find very talented native tutors on LanguaTalk, and they are usually from France or from Belgium. So a French-speaking country, prices will depend on the tutor, but they usually start at around $14 or 12 euros. You can see the tutor's reviews or their introduction video. You can also book a 30-minute free trial session And I think that's great because that will help you get to know the teacher, and you can decide if you want to move forward with them. If you want to take a look at the different French tutors that are available right now on LanguageTalk, make sure to click on the link in the description of this video. Now, another way of working with a one-on-one teacher is punctual sessions. So you don't really have to meet up regularly with your teacher if you don't think it's necessary or if you don't have the time. So during those punctual sessions, you can ask your teacher, of course, about some specific concepts, grammar questions, or any topic that could be beneficial for your learning. But you can also use those sessions to simply have a conversation with your teacher, simply to practice French with them. So you might think that this method is only for intermediate or advanced learners, but it can also be beneficial for beginners. So this is, for example, for beginners who are used to studying, not just a language, someone who is used to structuring their learning. So they know what they're going to learn next, and they simply need to meet up with someone to speak French or to guide them a bit in their learning. These learners are usually quite independent and they are simply looking for some guidance. So if you're more like this, you can simply, for example, message your teacher a few days or a week before your next session and tell them, hey, I would like to talk about this topic or that topic, or maybe this grammar point because I don't really understand it, or would you help me correct this exercise or my pronunciation? Basically, any problem, any issue that you have, then write them down and make sure to message your teacher beforehand. That way they can prepare. That's also good because they will be able to summarize the main points that you should be working on after the session. And the last way to work with your French teacher, basically intensive lessons. I used to work this way as well with some of my students, those who already lived in France, for example, and needed something fast, like a method that would help them have a solid basis in French, something that would boost their learning really fast. This method is also good for those who are studying for a DELF exam, for example, DELF or DELF. That way we already knew that we would focus on that specific exam, so on the program and all the skills that you need to master before taking the DELF exam. Now, keep in mind that these sessions will be intensive and structured, so you might not have the time outside of your lessons to either work on what they gave you or basically work on your French. So that's also a good way to balance your life. So you need to take advantage of the lesson, like the full hour or 45 minutes of your lesson, to see everything that you need to see. Très bien, cette vidéo est maintenant terminée. If you want to book a 30-minute free trial session with a tutor on LanguageTalk, don't forget to click on the link in the description of this video. Merci beaucoup et à très bientôt. Au revoir.